What's up, guys? It's Kyle with another episode of Unlocking Inner Strength. Today, I got a new friend of mine, Brad Dunn of Reliant Fitness. So, Brad, thanks for being with me, bro.
Hey, no problem, Kyle. Looking forward to it, man. Very,
Yeah,
very
man.
excited to be here.
Yeah, me too, man. I was glad we connected. I mean, me and Brad are, with Wes Watson's group, and we connected through that. And Brad is, his Instagram is awesome. His, just everything, man. You're an inspiration. So, why don't we start with tell everybody where you live right now. Tell us a little bit about your family. Like, what's
Okay,
your current career, and then we'll talk about where you're going. But let's talk about that for a minute.
cool. So my name's Brad Dunn. I am the CEO of Reliant Fitness. I currently live in St. Louis Obispo County on the outskirts in a small town called Creston. I've lived here for about 7 years now. I grew up in Orange County. Lived there my whole life, was raised with my mom, my dad, my brother. Um, Moved up here in, I'd say, about 2016, 2017, and I absolutely love it here. My career currently, like my full-time job, is I'm a fireman. I work for Cal Fire here in San Luis Obispo County. I've been a fireman for coming up on 3 years now, so I'm still pretty new to the game. I started late. I started my journey to become a fireman at 30 years old. Prior to being a fireman, I spent most of my adult life working as a mechanic, automotive mechanic. Um, so that's what my extensiveness of knowledge and background is in cars and motorcycles. Um, but with the fitness thing, I mean, I've always had a passion for fitness. I've always exercised and taken care of myself. I'll put that in quotations because I've definitely enhanced my level of commitment to that over the past 6, 7, 8 months. But I've always worked out. I've always enjoyed being very active. I played sports my entire life. I played football, hockey, lacrosse. I was into MMA for a while, surfing, snowboarding, anything outdoors. So very, very active lifestyle. But where kind of Reliant Fitness came into the mix was, as a fireman, we have to take very good care of ourselves, with, getting proper sleep when we can, proper nutrition, exercise, and training for the job at hand. So since I've been with Cal Fire, most of the time when I'm on duty, they're like, "Hey, Brad, write the workout up." So I would write up basically the crew workout for every day that I'm on shift. Um, and I take pride and responsibility in that, like keeping my guys, physically fit and capable. And the idea behind Reliant Fitness is to be a reliable asset to my partners and my company officers and captains while I'm on duty. I'm not going to be that slouch on the couch fireman that's like just shows up for a check and wears the damn t-shirt. Like when I work, like I want to do the damn thing and I want to be fucking good at it. So I just kind of took it to the next level because I had a lot of spare time this last year, because some of the overtime that we would typically get, I wasn't getting because they hired more bodies. So more bodies means less overtime for people that have been around a little bit longer. So I tried to teach everybody that I worked with about macros and proper nutrition, and like following like a workout regimen. And very few of them were receptive to it. They were kind of like, the stuck in their ways kind of thing, or they just didn't care enough. Whereas like I was very much like, I'm trying to be the best version of myself that I can be, and for a reason. So when they kind of were, not paying too much attention to it, well, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna try my hand with it, through social media. And if I make a few extra bucks, then rad. Like if I can supplement maybe an extra 500 to $1,000 a month, like I'm golden. And after working with Wes for 90 days on a fitness program to kind of get myself tuned up into a better version, a more defined version of myself, he's like, "Man, we got to get you coaching. Like you got something that you could really put out there and sell." So jumped on that, and it's literally been a fucking rocket ship. Like getting clients and developing business and making extra money and teaching people, the importance of proper nutrition and macros and following, a diligent and detailed exercise routine, training regimen, and just really becoming that better version of yourself through exercise, nutrition, and mindset.
Yeah, no doubt, man. So you going back, okay, so before I dive into the fitness, man, because I mean your transformation of the pictures I've seen was even though you were already into fitness was awesome, man. I mean, you're shredded now, you're jacked.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You have a daughter and a son?
Yes. So I have a 7-year-old son named Odin. He's my firstborn. He still lives in Orange County with his mother. So I go down to Orange County once a month at least for a couple of days to spend time with him. At my mom still lives down there. So when I'm in Orange County, I stay at my mom's, fortunately. And then, yes, I have a 6 month, she'll be 6 months here in another week. My
Wow.
baby girl, Jasper. So she's been a wonderful addition, and I'm glad I get to do it again, because there's a lot of things in the first time with my son that I made big mistakes on, and I'm not going to make those mistakes again.
Yeah, it's what you live and you learn, right?
Yep. Yeah. That's all we can do.
And you're, if I did my math correct, you're 33 right now?
Yes, sir. 33 years old.
Cool, man. Cool. So going back to the sports, when you were playing, you played all through high school, most of these sports?
Yeah. So, I mean, with high school, I played football up until like 8th grade. And then 8th grade, I transitioned to lacrosse. So 8th grade lacrosse, and then like junior, sophomore, or freshman, sophomore, junior year, played lacrosse. Was taking it really seriously, playing club in the off season, doing these summer camps or lacrosse camps throughout the state at different colleges. And then I just decided to quit my senior year because me and my coach were not vibing anymore. And I hate to sound like this, but he basically took the fun out of it. So I was like, I play sports because it's fun. I enjoy it, and he basically robbed the enjoyment out of it. And I didn't like that. So I basically quit the high school team and just kept playing club.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So lacrosse, you would say, was probably your main passion as far as sports go?
Yeah, lacrosse and football. But I mean, lacrosse, there was just something about it where, they're like, all right, it's very fast paced, like hockey. You get a metal stick and you can hit people like you're in football, and then you can hit them with the stick. And there's really not a whole lot of stop and go like football. So I was like, dude, I'm in. Like, I'm sold. Like, you give me a metal stick and say, go take that guy out. I'm like, all right, game on, let's go.
Yeah, man, it's an awesome sport. I never played it myself. It wasn't really. It was just starting to. I'm 41. It was just starting to gain a little bit of not like it is now, but it was starting to gain a little bit of traction at that point. But I grew up playing baseball, and it's the same season, right? Doing all that. Now, and how big are you? Like, how tall? How much you weigh?
So right now I'm at like 190, and I'm like 5'11",
So good size.
So
Good size, man.
Yeah, but I haven't always been this size, man. I was one of those late bloomers, man. So like I didn't hit like a growth spurt until just like right when I graduated high school. I was like the runt, dude. Like I was fucking when I graduated high school at 17 years old, I was probably like 5'5", 5'6", 115 pounds soaking wet.
No kidding.
Yeah. And like just to put it into perspective a little bit more, when I was a freshman and I wrestled at 103s. So I was not a very big guy when I was younger.
No kidding. And then you hit the spurt after high school.
Yeah. So like it was weird. Basically the summer between graduating high school and starting college, I like fucking grew like 4 or 5 inches and put on like 50 pounds, just like that. Like,
and were you lifting, or was it just natural?
So I was lifting. I started lifting like on a regular basis, probably at 16, 17 years old. Yeah. And it was the gym was just part of our schedule back then. I mean, granted, we had no fucking idea what we were doing, but we
did it though.
we still went to the gym for an hour and a half, 2 hours a day, and did the old bro style, like, okay, today's chest, tomorrow's back, and then arms, and and basically ran that regiment for years. But as we got older and more educated, we started taking it to another level.
Sure, yeah. I remember the good old days. I do the same thing, man. I used to go to the YMCA, man, and just stay there for like 2, 3 hours, just
Yeah.
blasting stuff like chest. See how many flies I could do in like 3 hours.
Yeah, it's funny. Looking back, I'm like, man, I wasted so much time.
Yeah,
spending.
it's I think though those younger years, right, when younger guy starts lifting at that age, it's just so formative though, and there's so many lessons learned. Like, yeah, we look back, we did potentially we weren't that efficient, right? But all the
Right.
just the discipline, right, and the training and
Yeah.
learning about food at that point. Dude, I mean, I used to track stuff even at senior high school. That I would be keeping track of all my macros and literally, you know, eating 5 times a day, getting home, making fish and eggs and all this stuff. Man, it was but it's good memories, man. It's good memories. Did you ever go down to Venice to Muscle Beach?
No, I've actually, I sound like I always tell my chick this. I feel like almost like a poser, because I've lived in California my whole life, but I've never been to fucking Venice Beach.
Got to see, check it out, man.
I know.
Gotta
I
check
need to get down there. I mean, I've always wanted to go. I just growing up in Orange County and then living in San Luis Obispo now, and basically having to go through LA to get to either one of my, visiting my son or coming home. I try to spend as little time in LA as possible. I fucking hate LA.
Is
So
that right?
unfortunately, I mean, there are some good things in LA, and I'm,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sure Venice Beach is one of them, but I don't like spending a lot of time there.
Sure. Sure. That's it. Yeah, no. I don't think you're missing too much, but I went there. I was in Laguna for about a month, going back to like
Okay.
2008 or nine, and so I made the trip, from where I was staying. It was cool, man, but I don't think you're missing that. Did you ever watch Pumping Iron growing up?
That's the Arnold documentary, right?
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
movie?
yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
think I've seen bits and pieces of it. I don't think I've watched the whole thing from
yeah.
beginning to
I
end.
used to watch that. Dude, we got a cassette. Like my boy in high school worked at the actual video store, and he had a
Uh-huh.
copy. I have that copy somewhere, dude. But I watched that thing like every day. But that's all at Venice. But that's what I was always drawn to Arnold, man. Like he was
Yeah.
like kind of an idol to me. You felt the same way
Yeah.
about him, so being from California and
Yeah, I mean, the dude was a fucking an icon, you know what I mean? And
unbelievable.
we
Yeah,
we're pretty fortunate here. We have a lot of that going on. A lot of the fitness icons that are, we're living or from California, and like not only like, Arnold, but Jack LaLanne and stuff like that, and some of these older guys that are, these fitness, icons that
yeah,
just gravitate here. Um,
yeah.
so there's a lot of history with that, and I think that's pretty cool.
It is cool, man. It's awesome. It's awesome. Um, okay, so let's talk about from that, right? So you entered the fire department late. How many guys
Yes.
are in your what would you call like a squad? Like how many guys are in your department?
So our department's pretty big. So Cal Fire is one of the biggest fire departments in the world because we are the state of California's fire department per se. But we have a contract with counties. So basically Cal Fire is in every county in the state of California except for like 6 counties. And that's because the state basically pays them to have their own fire department, like LA County, Ventura County, Orange County, just as a few examples. But so San Luis Obispo County, we are, the county fire department, Cal Fire. But my station, I'd say my two primary station assignments, Paso Robles, we have probably in the summertime when we're running a lot of vegetation fires, wildland fires, we got about 10 people on duty at one time every day. The other station that I'm assigned to on more of a part-time basis, in Los Osos, we have 4 people on duty every single day. which two of which are paramedics, and then the other two are at least an EMT. Sometimes we have three paramedics on. So we have quite an interesting dynamic of individuals. And with CAL FIRE, we have a revolving door of people coming and going almost constantly. So there's always someone new, or there's always someone from a different station.
Okay.
So,
And what's your schedule like with that? Are you doing like 24-hour shifts? Like how does that work?
so typically, like, so basically at the end of this month, right, the end of March, beginning of April, I'll go into what's more of my full-time position. They refer to it as a seasonal, because out here in CAL FIRE we have, very, very active fire seasons in the spring and summer. So I'll go on starting end of March, beginning of April. I'll work a minimum of 72 hours a week. So it's basically 3 days on, 4 days off. And that'll basically go until I usually get laid off for the season, the end of December. So right around Christmas time. And then I'll go back to more of my like kind of part-time position at the Los Osos station, working with the medics and stuff. But I'm hoping to be promoting here soon. So I'll be basically on a more of a full-time year-round basis, because the hiring structure with CAL FIRE is the firefighter one. So like a lower level position, like where I'm at right now, is a seasonal position. You work 8 or 9 months out of the season, and then you have 3 or 4 months off, and then you can choose to come back, and then also you can test to promote. So then from a firefighter one, there's two things you can do. You can promote to a firefighter two, which is a permanent firefighter, or you could promote to an engineer, which is basically the guy who drives and operates the fire engine. So I've tested for both of those positions, and I'm hoping I'm going to be getting a call here within the next month or two for an elevated position.
Do you have a preference if you're a firefighter two or an engineer?
So me personally, I want to take the two job. I don't want to do the engineer job yet. I mean, I know I'm ready and I'm very capable of being, put into more of a leadership role and having more responsibility. And I've already got the training and the driver's license endorsement to drive and operate the engine. I just want to continue to be a firefighter for a little bit longer before I'm considered a company officer. And it has nothing to do with, I don't think I'm ready. It's just, I'm still very new to this career, and I'm not trying to promote super fast. I'm trying to enjoy my career. I'm not trying to climb the ladder and put brass on my collar just to say, hey, I'm a leader now. You must listen to me. Like, I want to do it the right way. I can still lead from the bottom. I'm not worried about that.
That's great, man. Great philosophy, man. And it seems like you're very, just watching your videos and stuff too, you're very in tune, self-aware,
Thank
so
you.
we'll definitely get a dive into the mindset here in a few minutes. Now, to firefighting though, is there I mean, it's a dangerous profession. So any crazy stories that stick out, any like running into fires type of scenarios, like what sticks out in your mind?
I mean, a lot of it, yeah, is pretty wild. But I mean, a lot of being with CAL FIRE, our bread and butter, like our go-to is wildland fires. So yeah, we're up in the hills, in the timber or grass, fighting these wildfires, and you have to keep your head on a swivel, because the smallest thing, like a wind shift, wind changing direction, instead of the fire basically backing, burning away from you and you're chasing it, it can turn and rear its head and come right back at you. So we have to be very heads up on small things like, wind shifts, and then certain times of the day. So we have our critical fire period, which is basically, we call it 11 to like 5, but the staple is like 2 to 5, because that's where most of our live fuel moisture has been preheated by the sun through the day, and it's the hottest, driest part of the day. So usually around 1 or 2 o'clock, we'll take like a a tactical pause or a reset and be like, all right, we're getting into our critical fire weather period. You know, what's our weather looking like for the next couple hours? Are we going to get winds out of the east or the north or the south? What aspect are we on as far as the mountain goes or the hillside? If this thing starts to spot over here and run this way, what are we going to do? You know, we kind of have to evaluate all of these things very quickly, almost ahead of time.
That's it. It's very interesting. And when these fires, these woodland fires in the hills, these are just natural that happen, or are these set intentionally to like burn back brush? Like, or was it a combination?
It's a combination. I mean, so we do have our naturally occurring fires, you know, from lightning strikes or from human factors, you know, people out running equipment or, you know, doing some welding fence. You know, I've seen a handful of weird stuff happen with fires starting from that. Like they could be like mowing their property and they chip a rock with the blade and it sparks and starts a grass fire. I've seen people welding fence and they're welding, you know, and the sparks and stuff drop into the grass, start a fire that way. Chains dragging from trucks along the side of the roadway. Like there's a lot of human factors, but yeah, there sometimes like when we have fuel reduction projects, which is basically a prescribed burn. I mean, there are times where it can get away from us if the weather's not, you know, working in our favor, or if just something happens with the teams on the ground. Like if we're lighting fire, we're like you said, like almost like a burn back. If someone puts too much fire on the ground, or like we get an unexpected wind shift, or it's not coordinated enough, then we can be up shit creek pretty fast sometimes.
Mm-hmm. And is it when you're up on the hill, let's say you're doing something like this, is it just the 10 guys on duty at that, or is there multiple companies that come in for this?
It depends on the situation. If we're doing a prescribed burn, then they'll usually have at least several engine companies there. But if it's an evolving incident, like something that just happened, then it could be, you know, it could realistically be only like 3 or 4 of us there until another engine company gets there and then another engine company. So sometimes, you know, on these initial attack fires, the very first stage of these wildland fires or grass fires, there could be only 3 or 4 guys on it for the first 20, 30, 40 minutes until another engine company gets there. But fortunately, we have a lot of air resources now in the state of California. So like if we have something that pops up and it looks like it's going to, you know, possibly be a large scale incident, they'll get the helicopters and the planes in the sky like right on it. And they've strategically placed these air bases throughout the state so they can pretty much be over any part of the state within 20 minutes. So if we get aircraft in the mix and they put water on the fire, they put mud, which is basically that red retardant stuff you see in some of the videos, they can sometimes smoke it out right almost immediately, depending on the fuel type and the weather and, you know, winds. But if we're in grass or brush and there's wind and, you know, vertical, you know, climb that's running uphill, like it's off to the races, you know. You know, like it's like it goes from being something where it's like, okay, this is not some small grass fire on somebody's ranch. Like this is going to turn into a massive incident that we're going to be on for probably 2 or 3 weeks at a time.
Wow. So what with the danger involved, right, and all this, what made you decide to make that career switch from being like a mechanic to saying, hey, I want to be a fireman?
I'd say first and foremost, it was a challenge, you know. Like I had to kind of, it was like the initial step of me like getting my shit together, kind of like I had to go get my EMT. I had to go to a fire academy to get like formal training. So I kind of had to fall back into living a regimented lifestyle in order to be successful with this. And I kind of enjoyed that, you know, that aspect of it. And not to mention it's like physically challenging, you know. I get to basically use my level of fitness to my advantage.
Sure. Yeah.
And it just seemed like, you know, an awesome job. Like, how many kids grew up and said they wanted to be firemen, like at some
Yeah.
point in time? Oh, fucking almost all of us, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. No doubt. Yeah. That's really cool, man. Really cool. So now you're doing that, and you mentioned something. Well, actually, I might use it as a title of this, but you can lead. You can lead from where? You can lead from the bottom, right? So you have
Yeah.
the mindset piece. So what have you done? And then because this will transition nice into what you're doing with Reliant now too, and how you just
Hmm.
transform your life and you're really taking life to the next level. I believe just by your beliefs, right? Obviously, the beliefs drive the actions. But
Yeah.
what have you done to like? Kind of develop your mindset? Is there anything specific? Is it something you naturally had? And yeah, go over that first. I got some more mindset stuff we'll come up with here.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've always been a very driven person. Like, if I focus in on something, like, hey, I want that, like, or I need this to happen, I can almost always make it happen. I've just been that kind of that person, fortunately. I've been very, you know, I've been disciplined throughout my life, and obviously in areas of my life I lacked it massively. But even as a kid, you know, like going back to when I was in elementary school, I would get out of school, I would go home, I would do all of my homework, and then I would go out and play, you know. And because I realized at a young age, if I got all my work done right as I got out of school, then I would have more time to play, and I wouldn't
Yeah,
have to like come in when the street lights came on and be like, oh man, I got like 30, 45 minutes of homework now I got to do. Like, I don't know what clicked for me. And just, it's something I've always had when I was young too. And I lost it for a while, like going through like, you know, teens, early to mid 20s and stuff, because I spent a lot of time fucking off. But really just setting my mind on becoming that best version of myself, you know, eliminating all the bullshit, stop making excuses, stop bartering with myself, stop telling myself I deserve this or I deserve that, and just really sit down and go to work for it. You know, I know a lot of the people that we kind of are in the circle with, you know, they say a lot of the same thing, but I think it's like when you get on that path where it's like you are truly living in congruence, you know, your habits are in alignment with the goals that you're trying to achieve, you know, you just, there's nothing that can stop you except for yourself, you know. And you get to a
yeah,
certain point where those old things that you used to be drawn to, like alcohol or drugs or women or shitty food or sleeping in or just being an undisciplined person, they don't, it doesn't matter anymore, because you're like, I'm so fucking close to this, you know what I mean? Like, I can feel it, I can taste it. And I mean, I wake up every day and I just feel better. Like, I feel like a whole new fucking man after like 6 or 7 months of just like diligently working at something, you know. And I don't even have to. No one's making me do this except for myself.
yeah. And with that, right, with the, I think I'd imagine your physical fitness to physical training drives a lot of the mindset, and then it's just so intimately connected. So staying on point when you really began this transformation 6 7 months ago,
Mhm.
like what is your workout regimen? Are you hitting it every day, doing something every day? Like what does that look like?
Yeah, so I, you know, I'm doing something every day regardless. I don't really take any off days, and like even if I do like an off day, rest day, which are usually like Sundays, I'll still, you know, do some burpees or jump rope or go for a run. Like, I'll do an active recovery. You know, I'm never just sitting up on the couch doing nothing, like, oh, it's my day off, I can just watch TV all day. Um, you know, and it just, I'm a firm believer that exercise and pushing your body to new physical limitations is very therapeutic and meditational. Um, I enjoy it a lot. Like, I feel, if if I am not able to work out in the morning, or if we get busy at the station and my workout doesn't happen and when I normally do it, like, I notice that I am like a different person. Like, I get antsy and like, fuck, I want to go like work. I need to go expel some energy. I need to like get into that headspace, where I'm, focusing on myself. And I know we kind of talk, we bring up visualization and meditation, like working out first thing in the morning, like that is my meditation. Like that is my therapy. I'm getting myself right. I'm getting my body and mind dialed for the rest of the day.
Yeah, it's right. I think in that morning workout, man, I'm a huge believer in that just because what it does, like you're saying, to the brain chemistry. It's the most powerful drug there is, man. Lifting weights or training, whatever type of training to do, but doing something and getting that heart rate up.
Yeah.
In the gym, what would you say, like, what would be like your favorite tough exercise that you do consistently, but really not only to train the body, but that specific physical exercise really pushes your brain? Does something come to mind with that?
I mean, I would say the thing that I like to do to really challenge myself is, squats. Hammering away on some squats and trying to get like a solid 5 to 6 working sets of moving some decent weight, because it's a fight. It's a physical and mental fight, and it's almost spiritual in a sense for a man,
Yeah.
because you have the weight of the world on your back, but you got to keep going, you got to keep pushing, and you got to stand the fuck up even though everything's trying to drag you down. And it's same thing for pull-ups with me too. I love doing pull-ups or weighted pull-ups. And it's like, you can sit there and fucking hang on and, contemplate letting go, or you can pull yourself up and continue to climb. It's those two exercises for me have a much deeper meaning than most people would lead them to think.
Yeah, that's right the way you put it, man. With the weight of the world and climbing, because it is. I think when you get to a certain level with the lifting, you've been doing it now half your life, right? Is
Mhm.
it is more of a spiritual thing, right? Like you don't. It just kind of gives, especially as a man. I think like you kind of hit something else with that. Is it gives us this battle that I believe we're designed to take on every day. Like too many
100%.
men are just sedentary, right? And you were in MMA, you said, like, I think that's super important to know that, like be able to take the punch or get choked out and not panic and be able to figure it out, man. But I had a feeling you were going to say the squats, man, and I'm not surprised. Pull-ups is right there too.
Yeah, man.
That's
No,
good.
I couldn't agree more with you too on the battle. The men, as men, we stem from very much a warrior culture. And not only do I feel this way myself, but I've had friends tell me, they're like, dude, you're just like a very primal being. Like you just exude like alpha and protector, and like, someone who's a defender. And I do take pride in that. And like when I was younger, I used to kind of abuse it. I was like always looking for some shit to pick and like get in a scrap, or this and that. And nowadays it's more like just preparing for the battle that might never come. Like, am I capable? Am I ready? Absolutely. Do I need to go out there and show the world that? No. But I pride myself on remaining capable,
Ready.
remaining ready, and not, if it came down to it, not having to steer away from it. I mean, a very a very large part of me still loves violence.
Yeah, that's one of my really good friends here. He's the same way, man. Yeah, man, I don't know. He was probably in 50 fights, growing through his 20s, 30s, and he got really into the training, man. And, he still got that. He's trained, BJJ with me. He does, he was going to do a Muay Thai fight, but it's a very similar, man. And it's cool to see. And I always think, man, I tell the guys, right, especially guys that are having trouble really turning the switch. I mean, you're training for life every time you're
Yeah.
in here. You ain't trying to lose weight. You're training for life. Like this is it, man. It's gonna forge your mindset, and it's gonna obviously sculpt the physique, man. And that's cool how your friends see it as the alpha male, man. It's an important role, man. Not everybody can be that in their tribe. Obviously there's usually one or just a few of them that people look to as a leader, right? So I'm not surprised even with the fire department. Don't matter if you're younger, haven't been there as long, right? They look to you as a leader because what you do physically, that and the mindset. I think people
Yeah.
just gravitate to that, right?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. And there's a lot of different types of leaders in the fire service. And I've I've only been in the fire service for a few years, but I've seen I've seen like all two or three. The leader who points and says go do that, the leader who, is a leader but doesn't act like a leader, and then the leader who leads by example. And I would rather be the leader who leads by example every day,
Yeah, that's powerful, man. It's good, man. So now, I kind of bring it down to the runway here with Reliant. Reliant's taking off, right? You're crushing it. You're putting out awesome content. You're inspiring a lot of people. What's your vision at this point? Like, where do you see yourself, Brad, in like a year or 5 years? Like,
Oh,
what do
man.
you see for your future?
I mean, it's going, like you said, man, it's going amazing so far. And I'm definitely very blessed and very fortunate that it's gotten to this level so fast. I mean, for Reliant, I definitely see it becoming a 6-figure, 7-figure brand in the next year or two. It's already very much a full-time thing for me. Like, I'm literally, trying to capitalize on leads and stuff through social media like all day long. I'm relentless with it. I have a system that I've kind of put together over the past several months, and it's very effective. The thing that I'm worried about is when I get more back into my full-time fire swing and trying to balance it. But I'll figure it out. I have confidence because I mean, I'm to the point now where firefighting is an option. And I've kind of been throwing this idea back and forth at myself, and it's been a little bit of a battle, but I think I've, kind of pinned it where firefighting is something I worked really hard to get into, and I'm not ready to leave it in the rear view. And it's a big part of not only who I am, but also my brand. So
Yeah,
I feel it would be a disservice to myself, a disservice to the fire service, and a disservice to some of the people that gravitate towards me to walk away from it right now.
very smart. Yeah, I think you mentioned it, man. It's part of who you are, how people see you, and probably a big part of, like you said, every young boy at some point says they want to be a firefighter, fireman, right? So it's almost looked at as like a superhero, right? But if you're doing that and they see that, and then you're also fit, you're in shape, you're training for life, you're always ready to go, man. I think just a lot of men would aspire to that, like, hey, that's
Yeah.
what I want to be, right?
Yeah, and I still get quite a few people that hit me up on Instagram, and they're like, "Hey, man, like, I'm this age. Like, is it too late for me to get into the fire service?" And I'm just like, "No, man. Like, go do it." Like, a lot of people, and that was the thing with me too, is like when I had this stigma for a long time when I was in my late 20s. Like, oh, it's like, if you didn't start your journey to become a fireman like right out of high school, or your dad or your uncle wasn't like in the fire service, like you couldn't get in. And I couldn't be more wrong. And I know I'm not the only person that thought that way. So to basically be able to air it out like, hey, you can do this job if you, I mean, obviously take it seriously and go about it the right way. But it's like, it doesn't matter, how old you are to an extent. If you're driven, if you're physically fit, and you really want to do the job, like, you can do the job. You can get into the fire service and make a difference and live a purpose greater than yourself.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's great, man. It's they're lucky to have you, man, because it's not you make it your own business, right? You're making that your own business, which is awesome, dude. Um,
Thank you.
cool, man. So you're crushing it. You're an inspiration to follow. Where can people? What's the best way for people when they hear this or see this to follow you?
So you can get me on Instagram at reliant.fitness. I'm also on TikTok and YouTube. Same thing, reliant.fit or reliant.fitness. Those are the three social media platforms I use the most. And then if you're interested in getting involved with my coaching, with my training, you can either shoot me a DM in Instagram, or I have an application link in my link tree on my bio. And I check those applications pretty much daily. So if you're serious about getting involved with what I got going on and you want to work with me personally, that's going to be the best route of action, is to fill out that application and just wait for me to get back to you.
Awesome, man. Yeah, people should be definitely wise to get in touch with you if they're starting to have that seed planted in their head. Definitely, Brad's the man, guys. And you guys can follow me at the Panda Man Official right now on Instagram, Kyle Newell 1000 on YouTube. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Make sure you guys share this. Make sure you leave a review. Spread the word, man. Brad's going to inspire and change a lot of lives, transform a lot of lives. So make sure you get the word out there for us. Thanks, Brad.
Hey, thank you, Kyle, man. It's been a pleasure. Have a great day, bud.
You too, bro. All right.